Good afternoon, everyone. Indonesia defends decision to increase rice imports and prices. They blame weather, pests, and so on. I'm curious what the so on is. And this year, 12% food inflation. They usually import 500,000 tons of rice, but what made them import 2 million? Oh, all of our jet streams are shifting. All the moisture patterns are shifting. They've done studies. This is in Indonesia right here, and they're still asking why. Their production is down in agriculture. Asian eyes Argentina wheat. Why? Russia, Ukraine, and other parts of the world can't supply it anymore. Asia consumes 304 million metric tons. Russia drops from 85 million tons down to 71 million. Australia just absolutely slammed. These numbers of down 13% are just a pipe dream. Massive frost and cold wipe out what's left. And January contracts reach record highs, 442 a ton. Just looking overall at Asia, they've reconstructed droughts during the grand solar minimum. And this is the intensification forecast going forward from this year up to 2023, 2024. Yet they still don't understand why they're losing yields in the fields. And if global crop yields are decreasing, you're going to have to supplement growing some of your own food, microgreens, sprouts, or anything else edible. TrueLeafMarket.com, heirloom and organic seeds for any grow zone on our planet. The link is below in the description box, as well as links to many Ice Age conversations. Episode number 110, where I discuss these very same issues in 30-minute audio format you can take with you on the go. Starting over here in the Jakarta Globe, the State Palace defends its decision to increase rice imports up from 500,000 tons to 2 million tons due to the losses in Indonesia. They're trying to avoid social chaos because, according to their report, weather, pests, and so on has greatly affected productivity. So what they're trying to tell the citizens is, well, we're building so many roads and so many rail lines and so many parking lots and so many malls or whatever that it's dug into the agricultural productivity of the country, and you all are going to pay higher prices. Now, so far, it's up 12% on the food inflation this year alone. So the government's trying to bring up its stockpiles of rice to 2 million tons, the highest since 2011. But there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than they're talking about. If production's truly down that much, there is a very serious problem in that country. And Asia itself just is suffering from crop losses, specifically with rice, due to massive drought across the entire continent. Focusing here on a report, Indian monsoon during sunspot peaks focuses directly on Indonesia. So let me widen that out for you here. It's more Southeast Asia-centric. But you can see how the moisture bands in the intertropical convergence zone shift during high solar activity or low solar activity. Now we're heading into a grand solar minimum, so you would expect this to shift even further on a 400-year cycle. And what I mean by that is the jet streams. This is a representation. This is off of Null School 500 millibar jet stream flow. This is shifting. So are the moisture patterns. So when you're seeing droughts and massive floods, these are literally moving in the sky into different places because our magnetosphere is weaker, and these jet stream bands are allowed to move into different places that they would not normally move. And all the experts are baffled why the production is down. Now, Jakarta Globe had a great rundown on additional stories: Australia East Coast drought, global wheat supply crisis levels, Asia rice, India rates up as well. So now we got India and Indonesia and Thailand and Vietnam, all with huge spikes in rice prices. Major producers, now what do you think is going to happen to the price of rice? And if the agriculture departments in these nations would just look at reconstructed historical droughts from the spatial data, you could see during the grand solar minimums how intense the droughts will be. Go back in history, use a history book, correlate and overlap, and you can find how intense the droughts will be during this EDI, grand solar minimum intensification. And for those of you in the ag departments that don't really have an idea of how this grand solar minimum will intensify, here's the timeline for you. Rolling out to 2025, our danger zone is right now up to 2021 as the earth tries to stabilize, and our crops are not going to handle this. We're going to have to move to new grow zones, and yields are going to decrease significantly from this point forward. We're really at the cusp of the crop losses. And if it's already creating this much turmoil, can you imagine what it's going to be like in 3 years when we really get some heavy losses? And I'll give it to Jakarta Globe. They are covering the crop losses across Asia, unlike other news outlets that are just burying it or not covering it at all. This comes out of Singapore. Asian flour millers are looking for what's considered rare wheat shipments from Argentina due to the rest of the world not being able to supply their needs. Russia, Ukraine expected to run out of surplus supplies by the end of the year due to their falls in output. But remember, last year they were saying, oh, Russia's producing record wheat. It's going to save the planet. There's so much coming out of Russia. Yeah, that was last year. And this leaves zero alternative origins for traders except for Argentina. And Brazil's buying an enormous amount of that. So looking deeper into the numbers, Asia requires at least 304 million metric tons. And that's over 40% of the global consumption for wheat. Now you got Russia dropping. Now you have to understand, last year they had 85 million metric tons. This year they're going to drop to 71 million. Next year they're probably going to be below 60, and it's going to continue like this for every producer. Now Australia, it's already been crushed by the drought and the cold, and these are just the rosiest forecasts you've ever seen. Down 13%? Are you kidding me? That is somebody's been eating psilocybin mushrooms and putting out the forecast. That makes no sense. 13%? Are you kidding me? They're talking 75% losses. And then just add into this, put another nail right on the hammer here. They just got crushed with a devastating frost for several days, driving prices up. Season high 442 Australian dollars per ton on the ASX. That's the Australian Stock Exchange. Western Australia, which was spared from the drought, just was reeled with these frosts. So whoever's saying minus 13% on the Australian production should lose their job, seriously. That is such a fake number that they're putting out there. Really, it's closer to 70%. We'll see as we get forward. Although at the tail end of the article, they talk about Argentina being the savior on the planet to bring us new production, yet they're only up 1.5 million tons. These other places are minus 10 tons, minus 15 million tons, minus 8 tons over here. And they're trying to say, oh, because of the climb to 19.5 million tons from 18, a plus 1.5 million tons, and this is going to somehow stabilize global wheat prices. And also the countries that do have supply understand that they can charge a premium, and here they are putting at least a 10% export tax on grains. Now, what happens when somebody understands they can get a 20% premium, a 50% premium, double premium, and people are willing to pay it to get it because the supply is becoming less and less available? Also, the benchmark in the Chicago Board of Trade, I like how they write it here, and I don't understand why they wrote it out in words. Gained about a fifth this year. Well, if you're putting out a business report, you should have, I wrote this. Why not just write gained 20% so far this year on tighter supplies? And also, I'll bring you back to one last report. Robust response of the East Asian monsoon rain band to solar variability. Of course, it changes with the grand solar minimums. It changes on the 11-year solar cycle. Yet these forecasters can't figure out why there's droughts and floods in these places, reducing rice and wheat production. Here it is right in front of you. They've already mapped it out. Go to this report and you can see all through China exactly where these rain bands have shifted due to the grand solar minimums. Forecast would be absolute mega drought for northern China, zero production coming out of there. And how many millions of tons are they pushing out per year? That's going to go to zero. And they're going to be also looking for exports from other parts of the world. I'll leave you with the correlation here so you can see how the rain bands shift. And you can guess yourself where there will be a drought or where it will be flooding and where there'll be excess production, minus production, or zero production. Good luck on that. I'll let you map out the numbers, but keep in mind it's all based on jet streams getting out of their flow due to a weakening magnetosphere in this new eddy grand solar minimum. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. You can check out this content in a blog roll format where you can look at the charts and the text, steemit.com/adapt2030.